Okay, I think we should be live. Brilliant. Let me just copy paste the link and post it on Facebook. Fantastic. Okay. Brilliant. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a new Learn Italian live session. This is episode 35. We've been doing a lot of Italian in the last few months. And by the way, let me just delete what we've worked on last week. This is all stuff from last week. So I'm just going to remove it. If you're interested, you can find it in the previous episode. If you're new here, we do these sessions to learn and practice Italian. I'm an Italian native speaker, a coach. I've been helping people learn Italian for a long time. And I think practice, when it comes to learning languages, but everything in general, but languages in particular, practicing is key. Practicing with guidance, because you can practice the wrong thing, but practicing with guidance, that's the best. And in these quick 20-30 minute sessions that we do weekly, the goal is to practice Italian, learn new Italian, whether it's pronunciation, grammar, vocab, or just even a little bit about culture. I want to keep these sessions slightly casual so that people can offer inputs, ask questions. So please feel free to ask me any question related to learning Italian or Italy, and I'll be trying my best to answer those questions. Every week we focus on a particular image. We use an image prompt for people to start thinking about new examples and questions and comments. So feel free to write them down in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me and see me clearly. And if you're watching this as a recording, of course, feel free to post in the comments some of your own examples. And I always try to reply to everyone and answer people's questions even after the video is published. So, ciao Mark, ciao Arturo, buona domenica a tutti, buona domenica a voi. Siete pronti? Scrivete 2 nella chat se siete pronti, se mi sentite. So type 2 in the chat if you can hear me well, if you can see me well, and if you are ready to start cooking. And we should begin. Let's wait for another 30 seconds and then we can start with the session. Amedeo, ciao a tutti, ciao a te. Posso vedere e sentire? Bene, 2, perfetto. Beautiful. 2, fantastic. Very well. So, today we have an image. Can you see it? It's on this side. It's on one side of the page, but you can see it more clearly now. I think this is New York. I might be wrong, but take a glance, form some thoughts, and write down a sentence, a thought, a phrase, something in Italian. Do your best. You don't have to get it right. This is the whole point of this session, is for people to let go of their fear of being wrong. And, it's no problem. Nobody's going to get famous And we, in this session, and we are, I'm going to comment on every sentence anyways, as always. Bene, bene, bene. Chat, give me some love. Send some examples. Okay, so we already have one example, right? Let's let me see. Yes, I'm still able to copy paste things. That's incredible. Yeah, CITTà. This is the first example that just came through from chat. Ci sono molte persone nella strada in città. Fantastic. I don't really like these examples because they're too good. There's nothing to say. But I can break it down for the people that might not be fully understanding these examples and to give a little bit more insight. Ci sono molte persone nella strada in città. It's also useful to pronounce or overpronounce, practice pronunciation. It's key because pronunciation impacts confidence more than anything. I could give you, let's just take a language as an example, Korean. It could be any language, it could be Italian, it could be any language. I could give you a recording, a short recording, and then have you learn that sound sequence perfectly, and that would actually give you confidence to go and say it to people, even if you couldn't speak the language at all, or even if you didn't know what that meant. And what that means is pronunciation has an impact on language learning that people underestimate, even after they get convinced of this and remind themselves of this sentence. They still underestimate it. We all underestimate it. Ci sono molte persone nella strada in città. A very straightforward sentence. What do you think it means? Pause the video if you're watching this as a recording, but if you're not, ci sono. We've already seen this many times. This is part of the basics of the foundations of speaking Italian. C'è, ci sono. C'è un letto. C'è is the singular version, by the way. C'è means there is. Ci sono, there are. Can you guys see me okay? Let me just... Okay, there are many examples. I'm going to be a little bit quicker than usual because I want to cover them all. C'è, ci sono. Right. So, there is, there are. C'è una sedia. There is a chair. Oh, c'è una sedia. Maybe you're at the restaurant and there is Italian people and they say, oh, quante sedie ci sono? So you're about to sit and people ask, how many chairs are there? Quante sedie ci sono? Can you see how this is just monumentally necessary, right? C'è, ci sono 3 persone nell'ascensore. Ascensore is a very difficult word, but it just means lift, right? The lift, taking the lift up, down, etc. Maybe there's like sideways lifts in the world today, but yeah. Anyways, ci sono 3 persone nell'ascensore. Quante, I will learn to type. Quante persone ci sono? How many people are there, right? This is a very common sentence, a very common, you can use it for many reasons, as you can imagine. These are just examples of something that's very useful. Ci sono molte persone. In fact, in this sentence, we use the word person. In English, you have that subtlety, the nuance around people, peoples, person, persons. In Italian, you just have persons. You don't have peoples. There's no people. Uh, it's a lonely place with no people. Just persons. So, that means persona is a feminine word. Persone is the plural version. And this is very important. Again, we use it all of the time. Let's just make it pink because that's too dark. That's feminine, and so is this. Yeah. Okay, that's better. So ci sono molte persone. There are many people nella strada, on the street, and the sentence is correct. You can't. You don't say sulla strada. Sulla strada would be okay, but it literally means it has a very literal meaning, like on the road, on the street, like on it, as opposed to they're just on the street in general. Nella strada. Ci sono delle persone nella strada. Sulla strada is also okay. Nella strada. Nella, we know what that means, right? Let me just copy, paste, yeah, the formatting. Nella means in plus la. It's one of those things called articulate preposition, complex preposition. Nella, which means in the whatever. In this case, this is a literal translation. It's actually on the road, on the streets. Nella strada, in città, in the city. Fantastic. This is completely correct. Remember, città is not città. Normally, I would read that città as Italian, because as an Italian, I have ingrained in me the idea that the second to last syllable has the stress. In other words, peperone, camino, pace. These are just random words. Pepper, chimney, I have no idea how to write it. Chimney. Peace. These are three words. What do they have in common? They have in common the fact that they are standard Italian words, and by standard, with standard pronunciation rules, by standard I mean they follow the standard pattern of stress. So in other words, I don't read this. So we don't read as robots, right? Peperone, we're not robots. We read with stress. Yeah. Peperone. So the stress is on the penultimate syllable. That's the word. And the same is for this, camino. It's not camino or camino. It's camino. You can actually learn a lot through practicing with the wrong stress. So try and stress every syllable to then remember which one is the right one. In other words, if I said peperone, nobody would understand. Nobody. Dammi un peperone. That doesn't make sense. Dammi un peperone. Or peperone. Or peperone. Do you see? First, second, fourth, they're all wrong. The third one is correct. Peperone. Right? This is just an example, but it's the whole process of practicing which is the right stress. So naturally, and by the way, the right stress is the second to last, more often than not. And when we don't abide by these rules, we put the visible stress marker, like in this case, città. I would normally say città, but it's città, obviously. City, città. Fantastic. I've ignored chat for a long time. Ci sono molte persone nella strada in città. C'è un taxi giallo in fronte. Ok. Bell'esempio. Ok. Ci sono un po' di esempi. Fantastico. Ditemi se sto andando troppo piano. So let me know if I'm going too slowly or if I'm too quick, just let me know. I doubt that I'm being too quick because I'm trying to explain things. But these are big topics, so one could make the argument that I'm going too quickly. This is a second example, right? Second. Esempio. Enough English. Let's just write it in Italian. That's it. C'è un taxi giallo in fronte, molte gente. Great. C'è un taxi. I believe a taxi. Taxi is the word. Taxi. You don't have to learn a new word. Taxi sounds familiar. Maybe some people use that word. Taxi is the Italian word for it. I think it's what Italians use. Forget I think. It's what Italians use. C'è un taxi. C'è un taxi giallo. Obviously, taxi is a foreign word. It's not a standard Italian word, just like it's not a standard English word for that matter. And so it ends in I, and obviously there's no gender plurality that impacts the word taxi, just like many foreign words, right? Un taxi, due taxi, it could be anything, sushi. Any foreign word is often completely undeterred from plurality and gender. So, c'è un taxi giallo. Perfect. The word taxi is irregular, but it's masculine. So it doesn't change based on gender, but the adjectives and articles that relate to it do take into account of the fact that it's masculine. So it's un. It's not una taxi or dei. No, it's un taxi. It would be dei taxi if it was plural. Just like in this case, two taxis. C'è un taxi giallo. So there is a yellow taxi. In front, molte gente. Right, so gente is singular. Gente. In fronte a. In fronte a. Di fronte. Di fronte a. I know it's confusing, but I guess, that's the difficult part of learning a language, right? Things are said slightly differently. You don't say in front of, but you say di fronte a, which is kind of, it's almost the other way around. But anyways, di fronte a. Di fronte a, for example, di fronte allo specchio. By the way, let me know if it's not clear. Every now and then I'm gonna... Oh, okay, Amedeo is correcting me. Tassi, only in Italy. Taxis international. Okay. So brilliant. Tassi is also a version that's good, and it sounds Italian, and it's good to use. C'è un taxi, c'è un tassi, and notice that tassi has another marker to signal the fact that it's not tassi, it's tassi, right? Tassi is another word. So ok. C'è un tassi giallo di fronte a. C'è un taxi giallo di fronte a. Okay, fine. In front of, di fronte a. This is a little bit annoying, as we've seen. Di fronte a. Molte gente. So here is it's interesting. In front of, if we use the word gente, gente is singular. Gente. So people. Molta gente. Many people. So we can use persone. Again, it's not bad to use persone. It would be in English, right? In English, you would say in front of many persons. It would sound very weird. It's absolutely fine to say di fronte a molte persone. You use the plural version of persona. You have the option of saying the exact same thing in front of many people. Di fronte a molta gente. So in English, one would be weird, the other one would be sort of standard. In Italian, these are both absolutely equivalent. Let's do it a little bit more. There you go. And this one is a little different. Okay. Persone, gente. Okay. So notice that one is plural, the other one is singular. So I would advise beginners to stick to persone, persona, persone. Remember, if you want to use the word for people, gente, you have to remember it's a singular word. So there is much people, right? C'è molta gente. Obviously, in English, that would be an abomination. C'è, but that's what you say in Italian, molta gente. If you want to use the word, then there is much people. There are many people, right? Why is it wrong? No, that's not wrong. That's absolutely right. C'è molta gente. C'è poca gente. Same thing. C'è poca gente. There are few people. Un taxi, due taxi, yeah. È di fronte allo specchio. Ok, fine. As always, guys, let me know if everything is clear, because I know that sometimes I spend too much time or too little time on things, and so any feedback is useful. Oh, okay. Franci, ciao. Chat has another example for us. I love it. I love it when we have many examples, because examples coming from Italian learners versus coming from me, they're always better. Right. We have another example, example 2. Example 1. Example 3. Vedo una macchina gialla che sta andando a sinistra. Fantastic. Fantastic. Vedo, we've seen this before. We've seen this before. Vedo, I see, right? Io vedo, tu vedi, lui, lei vede, noi vediamo, voi vedete, loro vedono. So we have the complete conjugation for vedere. Vedere is a verb and it's very common. I mean, I don't have to tell you this, right? It's obvious that it's common to see. That's the whole entire conjugation. Vedo una macchina gialla. Macchina, remember, it does mean machine. So if we're talking about a factory, cosa fa questa macchina? What does it do? Come funziona questa macchina? So it does, how does this machine work? So it does mean machine, but it also means car. So that's what people use. They use macchina or auto interchangeably. Vedo una macchina gialla. The adjective goes after the noun in Italian. I see a yellow car. A yellow car. Che sta andando a sinistra. This is great. Che is a pronoun, relative pronoun, pronome relativo, which basically is summarizing something that happens previously and putting it into a single word to continue the train of thought. It's complicated. We spend a lot of time teaching this in the Italian Mastery University. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's on italianmastery.com. But in summary, the relative pronoun, like che in this case, that's very, very, very important. What it does, let me just color it a little bit darker. What it does, it summarizes everything that was said previously, and it now stands, the sentence, the previous sentence stands here in its place. Che. So the car that I'm seeing, that I'm looking at, that's yellow, sta andando a sinistra. Sta andando is very interesting because it uses the verb andare. But in this case, instead of using the present simple, so we could have andare. Do you guys remember the conjugation? It's good to practice them. Andare. Io vado, tu vai, lui, lei va, noi andiamo, voi andate, loro vanno. Vanno. Andare. This is the conjugation. As you can see, we expect a third person singular, va, but we don't get it. And we don't get it because this is the present continuous. Sta. Third person singular of the verb stare, and the gerund of andare, andando. Che sta andando. That goes, not, it's that is going to the left, a sinistra. Sinistra is very, very common, very useful. Destra, sinistra, very useful if you don't know your way around the city and people tell you, vai dritto, poi gira a sinistra. So go straight, then turn left, turn right. Very useful word. Not easy to pronounce, but very useful. And this marks the end of the analysis of the third example. I don't think we have any more examples. I appreciate everyone for turning up today. I hope you've enjoyed this session. I hope you enjoyed these sessions. Let me know in the comments. Hit the thumbs up button. It really helps. And I'll leave the floor for you to ask any questions for about 2 minutes. And if you want to drop off, feel free to drop off. I'll see you all guys the next week. Grazie a tutti. Ci vediamo la prossima settimana. Imparate l'italiano. Grazie a tutti di essere qui. Grazie degli esempi. Spero vi siano piaciuti. I hope that you've enjoyed the examples, the analysis. I think they were kind of, they were very instructive as far as what's important to say in situations that can really happen daily. If you're on the street, you know, taxis, asking for directions, the present simple, the present continuous. These are very common and very useful topics. Nothing crazy. And c'è, ci sono, absolutely mandatory to learn. So I'm going to close the session for today. Grazie a tutti. Non vedo nessuna domanda, quindi possiamo chiudere. Se avete domande, mettetele nei commenti. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in, you know, in the comments, or if you're a student, you can email me directly. There is no problem. Buona domenica e buone cose. Ci vediamo presto. Ciao a tutti. Oh, all right, there's a question. Last minute question. Please explain the word dammi and how that comes from dare. Is this a conjugation? All right, this is a very difficult question. I am going to prepare some notes and explain that in the next session. That's what we can do. Dammi is a very complicated question because I can tell you what you should look at to learn it. You should look at indirect object. You should look at indirect object. You should look at indirect object pronouns. That's after. Then you should look at indirect object pronouns in their weak form. And finally, the suffix pronouns. So it's a long journey, and hopefully you don't get lost. But if you do, I will cover this. I will try to cover this next lesson. Keep in mind that these sessions are meant for beginners, and these are not beginner topics. But it's true that someone hears a word and wants to know what it means. All right. Buona domenica. Ciao, grazie a tutti e alla prossima. Studiate l'italiano. Ciao ciao ciao.